What do you think about when you hear the word ghost? A sheet-covered figure with chains dragging itself across a cemetery, perhaps a translucent specter with big eyes floating down a long hallway. Well, whatever it is, you're not alone. All around the world, people report seeing ghosts and experiencing strange phenomena they attribute to these spirits. But what are the odds that these eerie encounters are really what they seem? Here are 5 strange things about ghosts explained. Number 5. Haunted places exist everywhere. Ask anyone if they've ever seen a ghost and chances are they'll say no. But ask them if they know of any haunted places and you'll probably get a few spooky stories. From the Tower of London to the Salem Witch Museum in America, almost every culture on Earth has ghost stories associated with certain places, some of which are surprisingly mundane. Like an old house or office building. But why do so many places apparently have ghosts? Well, it could be because of how we remember history. According to psychologist Dr. Brian Hurlis, this is the case for many famous landmarks like Alcatraz Island. Because we all learn about these places in history class, we already believe they must be haunted. Then when you visit, you expect to see a ghost. In fact, the belief that Alcatraz is haunted is largely due to a newspaper article written in 1934, not actual evidence. It's a good reminder to keep an open mind when visiting supposedly haunted places, unless you want to see something. 4. Ghosts in science. Speaking of believing in ghosts, there's also the question of whether they really exist. After all, nobody's ever managed to photograph one and show irrefutable proof to the scientific community. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't believe everyone who claims to have seen one, right? Well, maybe. Researchers have discovered that many ghost sightings can be linked to low-frequency sounds called infrasound. These sounds are below the range of human hearing, but they may trick your brain into thinking something is there. For example, researchers at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte found that infrasound created by wind moving through a gap in a building's windows led to reports of a woman in Victorian nightgown walking down a hallway. Similarly, a large underground cavity at Alton Towers amusement park in the UK was found to produce 2.5 hertz of infrasound, which reportedly caused visitors to flee in terror, believing they were being stalked by a bear. Even stranger, similar frequencies have been reported in notoriously haunted locations like the Whaley House in California and the ancient Ram Inn in England. So while infrasound can't prove ghosts exist, it can explain why so many people report seeing them. Number 3. The White Lady Legend. Now let's talk about the specifics of what people see. If you've heard stories of ghosts before, chances are you've heard of the White Lady. It's a legend found in countries all over the world, and it always involves a woman in a flowing white dress. There are usually 2 versions. In one, the White Lady is a spirit of a woman who died tragically young, often after being betrayed or murdered. In the other, she's a harbinger of doom. Either way, it seems like people have a particular affinity for these kinds of ghosts. So why do white ladies appear all over the world? According to folklore professor Dr. Laura Jane Smith, it might have to do with mourning rituals. Historically, women who died were often buried in white, and it was common to wear white to funerals, a practice that continues today in some cultures. This could explain why the White Lady is almost always depicted as a woman, and why she appears to be so sorrowful. Seeing her could be our minds trying to make sense of loss. Number 2. Ghost photos and recordings. But what about all those blurry photos of ghosts that people claim to take with their phones or cameras? Are they real or fake? Well, it depends on who you ask. The oldest purported ghost photo dates back to 1891. It's known as the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, and it shows an eerie figure floating down a staircase. Since then, there have been hundreds of supposed ghost photos taken by amateurs and professionals alike. But in the age of Photoshop and AI image generators, it's hard to tell what's real. In fact, most of these images turn out to be hoaxes. One famous example is the ghost of Knoll Bar, which was exposed as a man holding up a sheet in front of a double exposure. Others are more elaborate, like the story of Helen Acton and the ghost of a woman she photographed in an Italian church. When investigators looked at the negative, they saw another woman standing behind Helen holding a flashlight, suggesting the ghost was actually a trick of the light. Still, this hasn't stopped people from trying to capture ghosts on camera. You just have to remember, If it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Number 1. Sleep paralysis ghosts. Finally, let's discuss one last thing that might explain ghosts: sleep paralysis. If you've ever woken up unable to move, you might have experienced this phenomenon yourself. Your body remains paralyzed from sleep, but your mind is wide awake. People have been experiencing sleep paralysis for thousands of years and explaining it with myths and legends. Ancient Greek physicians attributed it to evil spirits sitting on your chest, and today, many cultures still blame ghostly figures for causing it. But why would ghosts choose to strike when you're sleeping? Well, according to psychologist Dr. Carlos N. Seltzer, it might be because that's when we're most vulnerable. Being unable to move can be terrifying, and people have always sought an explanation, so they created myths to fill in the blanks. Today we understand that sleep paralysis is a natural part of the sleep cycle, but that hasn't stopped people from blaming ghosts, and maybe that's okay. As Dr. Russell says, sometimes it helps to have a belief that can explain frightening situations. But just remember, if you wake up in the middle of the night and can't move, you don't need to call a priest, just try to relax. Chances are there's nothing to fear. Now, do you believe in ghosts? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to stay tuned for more videos like these. As always, thanks for watching.